You know, it's funny. We spend our lives chasing after success, happiness, and respect. We buy the books, we watch the videos, we try to hack our way to a better life. But what if I told you that the blueprint for a powerful mind has existed for over 2,000 years? And what's even crazier is that modern science is just now catching up to what a bunch of old Roman philosophers in togas figured out a long, long time ago. This isn't another self-help video about making your bed or drinking more water. This is about the 6 core habits that link the minds of the world's most intelligent people with the unshakable calm of ancient Stoic warriors. We're going to dive deep into the psychology, the brain scans, the daily routines, and the mental frameworks that separate a reactive mind from a proactive one. By the end of this, you're not just going to understand these habits, you're going to know exactly how to weave them into the fabric of your daily life. So, let's not waste another second. Let's get into the first habit. Habit number 1, the unbreakable inner citadel, mastering your perception. Imagine your mind is a castle. A fortress. Now, imagine that outside the walls of this castle, there's absolute chaos. There's traffic, there's a rude email from your boss, there's bad news on TV, there's someone cutting in line in front of you at the coffee shop. This is the outside world. It's loud, it's messy, and you have zero control over most of it. Now, most people live their entire lives with the drawbridge of their castle permanently down. Every single thing that happens outside just marches right in. A rude comment marches in and sets up camp in your living room. A traffic jam storms the Great Hall and starts a fire. They have no filter. Their inner peace is entirely at the mercy of external events. Their castle is constantly under siege. But a person with a high IQ, a stoic mind, they operate differently. The drawbridge is strong, it's guarded, and it only goes down when they decide. This is the foundational habit, mastering your perception. The Stoics called this the discipline of assent. It's the simple, but incredibly difficult, practice of recognizing that what happens to us is one thing, but the story we tell ourselves about it is something else entirely. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men to ever live, wrote this in his private journal, a book we now call Meditations. He said, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been." Now, on the surface, that sounds like wishful thinking. If someone punches you in the face, you're harmed, right? But Marcus isn't talking about the physical punch. He's talking about everything that comes after. The anger, the humiliation, the desire for revenge, the entire movie you play in your head for the rest of the day, or week, or even years. That is the harm. The initial event is over in a second. The suffering is a choice. Let's bring in some modern science. In your brain, you have a structure called the amygdala. It's your internal alarm system. It's what kicks in when you see a snake or when your boss yells at you. It's the fight or flight response. It's primitive, it's fast, and it's not very smart. It can't tell the difference between a real physical threat and a social threat, like an insult. When that amygdala goes off, it hijacks your entire brain. It floods your body with cortisol and adrenaline, shutting down your prefrontal cortex, which is the part of your brain responsible for rational thought, decision-making, and, you guessed it, your IQ. You literally get dumber when you're angry or stressed. The habit of mastering perception is the practice of building a strong connection between your amygdala and your prefrontal cortex. It's about inserting a single, powerful question between the event and your reaction. The question is this: what is this, really? Your boss sends you a harsh email. The amygdala screams, "He hates me. I'm going to get fired. This is a disaster." This is the first, uncontrolled, automatic thought. The person with a stoic mind catches that thought at the gate. They ask, "What is this, really?" Well, it's text on a screen. That's all it is, physically. The tone? I'm interpreting it as harsh. Is he under pressure from his boss? Did he just have a fight with his wife? Is this really about my performance, or is it about his bad day? Maybe the content is actually useful if I strip away the aggressive language. By doing this, you are not being a passive doormat. You are being an active interpreter of your reality. You are taking back control. You are deciding what the event means. The email hasn't changed. But your relationship to it has changed completely. You have just lowered your cortisol levels. You have just re-engaged your prefrontal cortex. You have just prevented an amygdala hijacking. You are now smarter, calmer, and more in control than the version of you that would have fired off an angry reply. The psychologist Viktor Frankl, who survived the Nazi concentration camps, put it perfectly. He said, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. The entire practice of Stoicism is about widening that space. So, how do you actually build this habit? It starts with small, daily drills. It's like going to the gym for your mind. First, practice the morning premeditation. This was a key Stoic exercise. First thing in the morning, don't check your phone. Instead, sit for 5 minutes and mentally rehearse the day ahead. Tell yourself, today, I will meet with annoying people, I will face delays, I will encounter ingratitude. You are not being a pessimist. You are vaccinating your mind against frustration. By expecting the traffic jam, when it happens, it's not an invasion of your peace, it's just the world behaving as you predicted. It becomes a chance to practice your philosophy, not a reason to have a bad day. Second, implement the evening review. At the end of the day, take another 5 minutes. Look back. Where did you lose your cool? Where did you let an external event control your internal state? Did you get angry in traffic? Did you take a comment personally? Don't beat yourself up. Just observe it. Ah, I see. I allowed that comment to bother me. Next time, I will remember that it's just a sound. Its power over me is an illusion I create. This isn't self-criticism, it's data collection. You are learning the weak spots in your castle walls so you can reinforce them. This habit, the mastery of perception, is the bedrock. It's the fortified wall upon which all the other habits are built. It's the realization that the world outside your mind is just raw data. It's neutral. The meaning, the emotion, the story, that's all something you generate inside your castle. And if you can control that, you have just unlocked a level of mental freedom that most people can't even imagine. Habit number 2, the physics of action, focusing on what you can control. If the first habit is about building strong walls around your mind, the second habit is about figuring out what to actually do inside those walls. This is about action. But not frantic, random action. It's about targeted, intelligent, and effective action. And it all starts with a single, profound distinction that is the absolute core of Stoic philosophy, the difference between what is within our control and what is not. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus, who was born a slave and became one of the most influential teachers in history, opened his famous manual, the Enchiridion, with this line: some things are within our power, while others are not. Within our power are opinion, motivation, desire, aversion, and, in a word, whatever is of our own doing. Not within our power are our body, our property, our reputation, our office, and, in a word, whatever is not of our own doing. Let's break that down into modern language. What can you truly, 100% control? Your opinions, your judgments, your efforts, your desires, your aversions, your internal world. What can you not control? Pretty much everything else. The weather, the past, the economy, other people's thoughts, other people's actions, traffic, whether you get that promotion, whether someone likes you. You can influence these things, but you cannot control them. Now, here's where most people waste their entire lives. They spend their mental energy, their emotional fuel, and their precious time trying to control the things they have no control over. They try to control what their friends say. They try to control the outcome of a job interview. They try to control the stock market. And when they inevitably fail, because the universe does not obey their commands, they feel frustrated, angry, anxious, and defeated. It's like trying to play a game of tennis but spending all your energy screaming at the sun to be less bright or the wind to stop blowing. You're exhausting yourself on things you cannot change, and as a result, you have no energy left for your actual shot. A high IQ, Stoic mind is ruthlessly efficient with its energy. It has a built-in filter that constantly sorts the world into two categories, my business, and not my business. And then, it focuses 99% of its effort on the first category. Imagine a circle. This is your circle of control. Inside this very small, tight circle are the only things you truly command: your thoughts, your actions, your efforts, your character. Now, imagine a much bigger circle around it. This is your circle of influence. These are the things you can affect through your actions in your circle of control. By working hard, you can influence your boss to consider you for a promotion. By being kind, you can influence how people perceive you. By practicing a skill, you can influence your performance. Most people focus on the outer circle, their circle of influence, and they get anxious because it's huge and unpredictable. The Stoic focuses on the inner circle, their circle of control, and as a result, their circle of influence naturally expands. It's a paradox. The less you try to control external outcomes, the more you actually end up influencing them, because all your power is directed at the one thing that actually matters: your own virtue and action. Let's look at a study from the field of cognitive therapy, which was directly inspired by Stoicism. It's called the Serenity Prayer, used in programs like Alcoholics Anonymous. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Therapists have found that patients who learn to make this distinction show dramatic reductions in anxiety and depression. Why? Because anxiety is often just a misfiring of our control instinct. It's our brain trying to solve a problem that has no solution, because it's not within our control. When you consciously label something as outside my control, you give your brain permission to stop working on an impossible task. You release the mental burden. So, how do you practice this? You use a mental tool called the Stoic fork. Whenever you face a problem, a worry, or a challenge, you run it through this fork. You ask, is this within my control? Your flight gets cancelled. Is the airline's decision within your control? No. Is your reaction to it? Yes. So, you focus on what you can do. You can calmly find a new flight. You can book a hotel. You can use the time to read a book. You focus your energy there, and you accept the rest. You have a big job interview. Is the final hiring decision within your control? Absolutely not. The interviewer might have had a bad morning. Another candidate might be the CEO's nephew. You can't control it. What can you control? You can control your preparation. You can research the company. You can practice your answers. You can choose to be polite and enthusiastic. So, you pour 100% of your effort into your preparation and your conduct during the interview. And then, you let the outcome go. You did your part. The rest is not your business. This is incredibly liberating. Your self-worth is no longer tied to external results. Your value comes from your effort, from your character, from doing the right thing to the best of your ability, regardless of the outcome. You become process-oriented instead of outcome-oriented. This doesn't mean you don't have goals. It means you are attached to your effort, not to the prize. The prize was never yours to promise yourself anyway. This habit transforms you from a reactive victim of circumstance into a proactive architect of your life. You stop being a leaf blown by the wind and start being the tree, with deep roots in your own principles, focusing only on growing towards the sun, which is the one thing it can actually do. Habit number 3, the view from above, practicing objective reflection. We are all the stars of our own movie. Our problems feel huge, our dramas feel epic, and the guy who cut us off in traffic is a villain of the highest order. This is the default setting of the human brain. It's called egocentric bias. We see the world from our own, tiny, cramped perspective, and we inflate the importance of everything that happens to us. The third habit of a high IQ Stoic mind is the deliberate practice of breaking out of this default mode. It's the habit of zooming out, way out, to see the bigger picture. The Stoics called this exercise the view from above or objective reflection. Marcus Aurelius was a master of this. In the middle of leading wars, dealing with political betrayals, and managing an empire, he would constantly remind himself to take a cosmic perspective. He wrote, "How many have yet to hear your name, and how many will soon have forgotten it? And, remember how many doctors have died, after knitting their brows over their patients. How many astrologers, after predicting the deaths of others? How many philosophers, after endless debates on death and immortality? How many warriors, after inflicting thousands of deaths themselves? How many tyrants, after abusing their power over life and death as if they were immortal themselves? All of them, dust." Now, this might sound morbid or depressing. But its purpose is the exact opposite. It's meant to be a source of profound peace and humility. When you're stuck in an argument with a coworker, you can get swept up in the emotion. It feels like the most important thing in the world to be right. But then, you activate the view from above. You zoom out. You see the two of you, in this small office, on a planet that is a tiny pale blue dot in a vast, empty universe. You realize that in 100 years, both of you will be gone, and this argument will be utterly forgotten. Does this mean the argument doesn't matter? Not necessarily. But it instantly drains the toxic, self-important emotion out of it. It allows you to address the issue with clarity and calm, because you're no longer fighting for your ego's survival. This is a hallmark of high intelligence. It's the ability to decenter oneself. Psychologists call this theory of mind or perspective taking. It's the cognitive capacity to step outside your own feelings and see a situation from another person's point of view, or from a neutral, third-party perspective. Studies show that people who are better at this are more empathetic, better negotiators, and better problem solvers. They are less likely to be trapped in black and white thinking because they can hold multiple perspectives in their mind at once. Let's bring in a modern concept, cognitive distancing. This is a technique from acceptance and commitment therapy, ACT. It involves seeing your thoughts as just thoughts, not as absolute truths. You can label them. Instead of thinking, "I am a failure," you learn to think, "I am having the thought that I am a failure." This creates a small space between you and the thought. The view from above is the ultimate form of cognitive distancing. You are distancing yourself from your entire drama. How do you practice this? You don't need a spaceship. You just need your imagination. First, the spatial zoom out. When a problem feels overwhelming, close your eyes for a moment. Picture the room you're in. Now, zoom out. See the building. Now the street, the city, the country. See the whole earth, spinning in the blackness of space. See the sun, our little star. See the Milky Way galaxy, a swirl of 100 billion stars. And here you are, on a speck of dust, dealing with this problem. Notice how its size changes. It doesn't disappear, but its monstrous scale is returned to its proper proportions. It's a problem, not the end of your world. Second, the temporal zoom out. Ask yourself, will this matter in an hour? Will it matter tomorrow? How about in a week? A year? A decade? Most of the things that cause us acute stress fail this test miserably. The embarrassing moment, the harsh word, the minor failure, they all shrink when viewed across the canvas of your entire life. Marcus Aurelius asked himself, "Is this one of the things that is worth my time? The time I have left is vanishingly small." Third, the universal zoom out. This is about seeing the interconnectedness of things. The Stoics were pantheists. They believed God was in everything, that the universe was a single, rational, living being. You don't have to believe that to benefit from the exercise. Just consider the chain of events that led to this moment. The coffee you drank this morning came from beans grown on a mountain in Colombia, picked by a farmer, shipped by a crew, roasted in a factory, driven by a trucker. Your existence is a node in an infinite web of cause and effect. Your problem is just one small part of this vast, flowing process. This helps you surrender to the flow of life, rather than fighting against every single current. This habit is the ultimate antidote to anxiety, narcissism, and drama. It grounds you in reality, not in the distorted movie inside your head. It makes you wiser, calmer, and far more intelligent in your responses, because you are no longer blinded by the spotlight of your own self-importance. Habit number 4, the premeditation of adversity, turning fear into preparation. Human brains are prediction machines. They are constantly trying to anticipate the future to keep us safe. This is a great survival tool, but it has a nasty side effect. It generates a lot of fear and anxiety about things that haven't happened and probably never will. We lie awake at night worrying about losing our job, about our partner leaving us, about getting sick. We live in a state of, what if? Most people deal with this by either ignoring the fears, which doesn't make them go away, or by obsessing over them, which makes them even more powerful. The Stoic approach is different, and it's brilliantly counterintuitive. It's the fourth habit, the premeditation of adversity, or in Latin, premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. This is not about being a pessimist. It's about being a realist. It's about inoculating your mind against the shock of misfortune by mentally rehearsing it in advance. Seneca wrote, "He suffers more than necessary, who suffers before it is necessary." What he meant is that the anticipation of pain is often worse than the pain itself. The premeditation of adversity is a vaccine against this kind of needless suffering. Here's how it works. You deliberately, calmly, and rationally imagine the worst-case scenario. Not in a frantic, fearful way, but in a tactical, problem-solving way. Let's say you're terrified of losing your job. A non-Stoic tries not to think about it. A Stoic sits down and says, "Okay, let's say I get fired tomorrow. What would happen?" And they walk through it, step by step. What would I do immediately? I would update my resume. Who would I call? I have a network of contacts I can reach out to. What about money? I have an emergency fund that can cover 6 months of expenses because I've been saving for this possibility. Would it be the end of the world? No. I have skills. I've gotten jobs before. I would find another one. It might even be a better opportunity. By doing this, you achieve several profound things. First, you rob the fear of its power. The monster in the dark is always scarier than the monster in the light. By bringing it out and examining it, you see it for what it is, a manageable set of problems, not an unconquerable beast. Second, you prepare yourself. By mentally walking through the scenario, you are creating a neural pathway in your brain. If it actually happens, it won't be a shocking, unprecedented catastrophe. It will be a situation you have already navigated in your mind. You have a plan. Your prefrontal cortex stays online because you've already done the thinking. You move from panic to execution. Third, and this is the most beautiful part, you begin to appreciate what you have right now. As you imagine losing your job, you feel a sudden gratitude for the fact that you currently have one. As you imagine a loved one getting sick, you feel a profound appreciation for their health today. This practice doesn't make you gloomy, it makes you intensely grateful for the present moment. It's the ultimate, you don't know what you've got till it's gone, but done proactively, so you do know what you've got, while you've got it. This is backed by modern psychology. It's a concept known as stress inoculation training. Just like a vaccine introduces a weakened virus to prepare your immune system, mentally rehearsing challenges prepares your psychological immune system. Studies on athletes and special forces soldiers show that vivid mental rehearsal activates the same neural pathways as physical practice. It builds resilience. Let's get practical. How do you build this habit? Set aside 5 minutes, once a week. Call it your Stoic rehearsal time. Pick one of your deep-seated fears. It could be financial ruin, professional failure, or the loss of a relationship. Define the worst case, clearly state it. I lose my business and go bankrupt. Walk through the steps. What is the first thing you would do? And then? Be specific. I would call my lawyer. I would sell my car. I would move in with my brother temporarily. Identify the opportunities. This is key. What potential good could come from this? It would be a brutal lesson, but I would learn so much about finance and risk. It would force me to be humbler. It might push me into a completely new career that I end up loving. The Stoics believed that obstacles could be used as fuel. An obstacle becomes the way. Reaffirm your core, remind yourself of what truly can't be taken from you. Even if I lose all my money, I still have my character, my wisdom from this experience, my health, and my family. My worth is not in my bank account. This habit transforms fear from a master into a servant. Your fears become a tool for preparation and a catalyst for gratitude. Instead of running from them, you use them to build a life that is so resilient, so grounded, that even if your worst fears came true, you would have the mental fortitude to not only endure but to find a way to grow from the experience. That is the mark of a truly powerful mind. Habit number 5, the deep dive, the pursuit of understanding over validation. In an age of information overload, we have developed a terrible habit. We don't seek to understand, we seek to confirm. We scroll through social media feeds that are perfectly tailored to our existing beliefs. We watch news channels that tell us what we already want to hear. We get into arguments not to learn, but to win. This is called confirmation bias, and it's the enemy of intelligence. The fifth habit of a high IQ Stoic mind is the relentless pursuit of understanding over validation. It's the commitment to seeing the world as it truly is, not as you wish it to be. The Stoics called this the love of truth, and it requires a specific and courageous virtue, intellectual humility. Intellectual humility is simply recognizing that you don't know everything. It's being open to the fact that you might be wrong. This is incredibly difficult for the ego. The ego wants to be right, to be seen as smart, to defend its territory. But a Stoic understands that the ego is the enemy of growth. Seneca said, "The man who has anticipated the coming of troubles takes away their power when they arrive." Similarly, the person who has admitted their own fallibility takes away the power of being proven wrong. It's not a defeat, it's a data point for a course correction. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself to strip away his own opinions and see the naked truth. He wrote, "Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth." He was training himself to be a neutral observer of reality. Let's look at the science. The Dunning-Kruger effect is a cognitive bias where people with low ability at a task overestimate their ability. They're too incompetent to even recognize their incompetence. On the other end, true experts often underestimate their ability because they're aware of how much there is to know. The path to intelligence, therefore, requires you to constantly move from the peak of Mount Stupid down into the valley of despair, where you realize your ignorance, and then begin the slow, arduous climb up the slope of enlightenment. People who are addicted to validation never leave Mount Stupid. So, how does a Stoic practice this? Through a series of mental drills. First, argue against yourself. This was a favorite technique of the Stoics. When you have a strong belief, especially about a political issue or a personal conflict, you deliberately build the strongest possible case for the other side. You don't do this as a weak exercise, you do it with the same passion you would use to defend your own position. You try to win the argument for your opponent. Why? Because if you can't successfully argue for the other side, you don't truly understand the issue. You're just parroting an opinion. This doesn't mean you'll always change your mind, but it will transform your opinion from a fragile dogma into a robust, well-tested understanding. Second, seek the sage's counsel. Before you make an important decision or form a strong judgment, imagine you are being observed by a person you consider to be supremely wise and virtuous. It could be a historical figure like Marcus Aurelius or Seneca, or a respected mentor in your life. What would they think of your reasoning? Are you being fair? Are you being rational? Are you being just? This externalizes your own conscience and helps you rise above your immediate emotions and biases. Third, practice active listening. Most of the time when someone else is talking, we're not really listening, we're just reloading, waiting for our turn to speak. Stoic listening means you enter a conversation with the sole purpose of understanding the other person's perspective. Your goal is to be able to articulate their argument back to them so well that they say, "Yes, you've got it." Once you've achieved that, then you can share your own view. This transforms arguments into dialogues and enemies into teachers. This habit is what separates the wise from the merely knowledgeable. It's the engine of lifelong learning. A mind that is closed to being wrong is a mind that has stopped growing. A Stoic mind, however, sees every contradiction, every challenge, and every piece of new evidence as a gift, a chance to update its internal model of the world and get closer to the truth. In a world drowning in noise and opinion, the ability to calmly, humbly, and ruthlessly seek the signal of truth is a superpower. It is the essence of a high IQ in action. Habit number 6, the daily audit, the practice of journaling and reflection. Knowledge that isn't applied is worthless. You can understand all the theory in the world, but if you don't have a system to integrate it into your daily life, it's just mental clutter. The sixth and final habit is the glue that holds all the others together. It's the engine of integration, the daily audit, or the practice of Stoic journaling. This wasn't just a nice idea for the Stoics, it was a non-negotiable daily practice. Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius all journaled. In fact, Marcus's Meditations wasn't written for publication. It was his private journal, written on the front lines of a military campaign, as a series of reminders to himself. It's the most powerful self-help book in history, and it was never meant to be read by anyone else. It was his gym, where he went to train his mind. Journaling is to the mind what lifting weights is to the body. It's where you do the reps, it's where you process the events of the day through the lens of Stoic philosophy. It's where you identify your failures, consolidate your lessons, and reinforce your principles. Why is this so critical for a high IQ mind? Because of a cognitive process called consolidation. During the day, your brain is busy taking in information and reacting to stimuli. It's in a state of encoding. But learning and deep understanding happen during reflection, when the brain has a chance to process and make sense of those experiences, to transfer them from short-term memory to long-term memory, and to connect new knowledge to existing knowledge. Journaling forces this process of consolidation. It turns a chaotic experience into a coherent lesson. There are 3 key Stoic journaling exercises, and you can cycle through them or combine them. First, the morning preparation. We touched on this earlier. It's a brief session where you set your intentions for the day. You don't just plan your tasks, you plan your character. You ask yourself, what challenges will I likely face today? What virtues will I need to call upon? Courage, patience, wisdom, justice. How will I remember the view from above when I feel stressed? What is my primary intention for the day? To be a good person, to learn, to help others. This is like programming your mental software for the day ahead. You are installing the Stoic operating system so it runs in the background. Second, the evening review. This is the most important one. At the end of the day, you look back with a gentle but honest eye. Seneca described it like this: when the light has been removed and my wife has fallen silent. I examine my entire day and go back over what I've done and said, hiding nothing from myself, passing nothing by. You ask yourself questions. Where did I let an external thing disturb my inner peace? Was my action today for the common good, or just for myself? What did I do well? Where did I live up to my principles? What could I have done better? Where did I fall short? What did I learn today? The goal is not self-flagellation. It's calm, objective analysis. Ah, I see I got angry when my colleague interrupted me. Next time, I will remember that his rudeness is his problem, and my reaction is mine. I will practice patience. You are closing the loop. You are taking the raw data of your life and turning it into wisdom. Third, gratitude journaling. While the Stoics are known for contemplating negative things, they were also profoundly focused on gratitude. Marcus Aurelius began his meditations by writing a long, detailed list of everything he was grateful to others for: his grandfather, his father, his teachers, even the gods. He listed the specific virtues and lessons he learned from each one. This practice directly counters our brain's natural negativity bias, which makes us focus on threats and problems. By consciously directing your attention to the good, you rewire your brain for appreciation and contentment. The goal is not self-flagellation. It's calm, objective analysis. Ah, I see I got angry when my colleague interrupted me. Next time, I will remember that his rudeness is his problem, and my reaction is mine. I will practice patience. You are closing the loop. You are taking the raw data of your life and turning it into wisdom. Third, gratitude journaling. While the Stoics are known for contemplating negative things, they were also profoundly focused on gratitude. Marcus Aurelius began his meditations by writing a long, detailed list of everything he was grateful to others for: his grandfather, his father, his teachers, even the gods. He listed the specific virtues and lessons he learned from each one. This practice directly counters our brain's natural negativity bias, which makes us focus on threats and problems. By consciously directing your attention to the good, you rewire your brain for appreciation and contentment. So, there you have them. The 6 habits that bridge the gap between ancient wisdom and modern intelligence. From building your inner citadel to conducting your daily audit, this is a complete operating system for a resilient, powerful, and peaceful mind. But understanding them is just the first step. The real magic happens when you start practicing them, when you make them a part of your daily life. And if you're ready to take that next step and want a simple, structured way to begin, I've got just the thing for you in the next video. I'll see you there.